Welcome back to Birds of a Feather. This is your Baltimore Sports Podcast. My name is Nathan Stroud, and today we've got a lot of news to go over since the last time we talked on here. The last time I made a video was going over the Jesse Minter hire being official and the Ravens hiring Jesse Minter and all my thoughts about that. But it's been about a week since we last talked, been about a week since we told any of the news going on, and we've got some big breaking news that happened in the past 30 minutes regarding the Ravens, and that is the fact that they have hired 29-year-old Declan Doyle as their next offensive coordinator. Declan Doyle was under Sean Payton's staff in Denver before he took the Bears offensive coordinator job last year under Ben Johnson, who now calls the plays, and Doyle will now run the show in Baltimore. Declan Doyle is now the official new offensive coordinator for the Ravens, replacing Todd Monken, who also, speaking of Todd Monken, got the head coaching job in Cleveland, so shout out to Todd for that. But Declan Doyle is the new offensive coordinator for the Ravens. Over the past few days, we've kind of been getting some information on who the next offensive coordinator would be, and we have now learned that it is Declan Doyle. I had a feeling that it was going to maybe be him, but I was a little bit optimistic because maybe we would have gotten someone else. Maybe, there was the Davis Webbs out there who we could have potentially gotten. There was also the Cliff Kingsburys that we could have potentially gotten. So there was still some other names out there that we could have maybe gotten. But Declan Doyle, for the guys that would have been available for like the past day or two, Declan Doyle has been at the top of my list. There was a couple guys that I would have maybe wanted more. Maybe Nate Scheelhaase was someone that I wanted. But Declan Doyle was right up there at the top of my list. I didn't even think the Ravens were going to pull the trigger on maybe getting him, but they requested an interview for him. Apparently, from what I've heard, they did one interview with Doyle, and they were blown away. And now he is officially the new offensive coordinator and official play caller for the Ravens offense. Again, he was the Bears offensive coordinator under Ben Johnson last year, but he wasn't really... he wasn't the play caller. Ben Johnson was the one who was calling plays for the offense. So, in a way, Declan Doyle was kind of like the assistant head coach in a way, and he was also kind of like the assistant offensive coordinator, but he was still labeled the offensive coordinator because he had that role, but Ben Johnson was the one actually calling plays. But in Baltimore, he is actually going to be the one calling plays. And again, he's 29 years old. That is a really crazy part about this entire thing, is that Declan Doyle is 29 years old. He was under Sean Payton 2 years ago in Denver, so obviously Sean Payton, legendary head coach, won a championship. Longtime Saints legend, took the Broncos to the AFC Championship game before they ultimately lost to the Patriots. But Sean Payton's obviously a very respected head coach in the NFL space, and Declan Doyle was under him on his staff before he then got a promotion to be the Bears offensive coordinator. Not the play caller, but the offensive coordinator for Chicago. You saw how good Chicago was this year, how dominant their offense was, and that was because of not only Declan Doyle, but also because of Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson came in there, he completely turned that program around. They looked incredible. Caleb Williams looked incredible, and that run game between DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai looked great. And Declan Doyle had a lot to do with it. It was really Declan Doyle and Ben Johnson collabing on that offense. But the Ravens get Declan Doyle as their next offensive coordinator. This is a huge move. And if you want to talk about big moves regarding the Ravens, Jesse Minter, this era of Jesse Minter that has started, it is starting off with a bang. Jesse Minter is cooking right now with this Ravens team. The coaches that we've been bringing in have been great. We're going to go over two other coaching hires that the Ravens have done. The only two other coaching hires that I know that are new. We hired a new offensive line coach and run game coordinator, and we also hired a new DB coach. So both of those hires are great. We're going to go over those in a second. Obviously, I want to start off this episode talking about Declan Doyle, talking about the offensive coordinator for the Ravens, because obviously that is extremely important. There was a lot of people, including myself, that really saw the Ravens offensive coordinator job just as important as the head coaching job. Obviously, Jesse Minter, he's incredible. He's an incredible hire. I'm so unbelievably happy that we got him. I either wanted Clint Kubiak or Jesse Minter. If you wanted to go offensive minded, you went with Clint Kubiak. If you wanted to go defensive minded, you went with Jesse Minter. But Jesse Minter has been hired. He's been hired for a week now. I think it's been a little over a week since we first hired him. And he is off to a great start. He's made three incredible coaching signings to be a part of his staff. He had his press conference yesterday, which, just going over the press conference just really quickly, it wasn't anything too crazy. He did confirm that he is going to be calling the defensive plays. There's still going to be a defensive coordinator for the Ravens who's kind of going to act as an assistant for him. But so Jesse Minter is going to be calling the plays for the Ravens defense, which is great to hear. It's great to hear that the Ravens are finally going to be having a play-calling head coach. That is something that we've been, waiting for. Obviously, John Harbaugh, for the 18 years he was here, he didn't call any plays. Obviously, he had an offensive coordinator designated to plays. He had a defensive coordinator designated to calling plays. John Harbaugh obviously was kind of like a GM head coach in a way. He didn't really call any plays. He was more of a game manager coach and all that stuff. But again, I'm not talking about John Harbaugh because that era is officially over. We are on to the Jesse Minter era, which is starting off with a bang. Hiring Declan Doyle, hiring two other very pristine, highly rated coaches that a lot of fan bases are upset that they're leaving, and that's what I want. I want to hire coaches that the fan base of that coach, of where they previously were, I want coaches where the fan base is upset that they're leaving. And I can tell you right now, Chargers fans were very, very upset when the Ravens hired Jesse Minter because they wanted to keep him. It was very similar to when Seattle hired Mike Macdonald a couple of years ago. And obviously you see where Mike Macdonald is at right now. He is going to be playing for a Super Bowl trophy next Sunday. Shout out to Mike Macdonald. We'll always love you. Rooting for the Seahawks, obviously, in the Super Bowl. But Declan Doyle is the new offensive coordinator for the Ravens. This coaching staff is starting to get assembled. It's looking great. It's going great. I'm very, very, very happy with this signing, and I'm very happy with everything the Ravens have been doing up to this point. Now, the next hire that I wanted to go over for the Ravens is the new offensive line coach and run game coordinator coach in Dwayne Ledford. He was the former Falcons offensive line coach, and he also was the run game coordinator. So he was the offensive line coach and the run game coordinator for Atlanta. Obviously, you see what Atlanta did this year. They didn't have a great year in terms of like their record, but the Falcons offensive line has always been, not always, but for the past few years, has really been considered an elite unit for the offensive line. And also when it comes to the run game, what he was able to do, the creative like run plays that he was able to kind of help call with Bijan Robinson and even Tyler Algier. Like that run game for the Falcons was incredible. You had Tyler Algier, who's one of the best backup running backs in the NFL. And then obviously you have Bijan Robinson, who's one of the best running backs in the NFL. What they were able to do on the ground is really, really, really cool. And the Ravens are hiring Dwayne Ledford as their new offensive line coach and run game coordinator. So Dwayne Ledford is going to work hand in hand directly with Declan Doyle now. He's going to work with him, obviously with the run game coordinator stuff, but also the offensive line coach. Obviously, when it comes to coaches and these little side coaches that coach a certain position group, they all work together at the end of the day. All the offensive line coaches, the wide receiver coaches, the running back coaches, all that stuff, they all kind of work together with the offensive coordinator and with the players and with the team and everything like that. So Dwayne Ledford, he coached a top unit in Atlanta. This post right here says that he's a strong candidate to join the Minter staff, but it's already done. This is already official. Dwayne Ledford is officially on the Ravens, and he's officially the new offensive line coach and run game coordinator. So this is a very, very big hire for the Ravens. I'm loving it. I'm loving these hires that Minter is doing. And the last coach hire that I want to go over is really the first one that got hired after we hired Jesse Minter. This is the first coach that we ended up hiring post Jesse Minter hiring, and that is Notre Dame defensive back coach Mike Mickens is signing with the Ravens and is being hired by the Ravens to be their new DB coach. And if you're watching on YouTube right now, you can see that I have some Twitter posts pulled up from the actual official reports. Here is Mike Mickens right here. This is a Notre Dame Fighting Irish fan page on Twitter. And he said, breaking, DB coach Mike Mickens is leaving for Baltimore. Can't explain how big of a loss this is. So from what I've been seeing, because this was a very interesting hire to me, because when I first saw the hiring, I didn't know too much about him. But when I kind of saw people's reactions to him leaving Notre Dame, it ended up being a way bigger deal than I thought it was going to be. Because apparently people at Notre Dame love this guy. And if you go back and look at his resume, he used to be at Cincinnati when Sauce Gardner was there, so he helped coach up Sauce Gardner, who obviously is one of the best corners in the NFL. He ended up going top 4 in the NFL draft that year. And he also was Kyle Hamilton's DB coach when he was at Notre Dame. So when Kyle Hamilton was at Notre Dame, he was under Mike Mickens. Like, he got coaching from Mike Mickens. So Kyle Hamilton and Sauce Gardner, two of the best DBs in football. Obviously, we understand how good Kyle Hamilton is, who is literally on our team as well, so this makes it even better. So Mike Mickens is the new defensive back coach for the Ravens, which it's kind of funny because Jesse Minter was like the assistant DB coach, and he also used to be the DB coach for the Ravens back in like 2018 or 2019 when he first was here. And obviously it's kind of like a full circle moment for Jesse Minter coming back to Baltimore and all that stuff. But Mike Mickens is officially the new Ravens defensive back coach. This is a very big get. A lot of Notre Dame fans were very upset by this because he also kind of acted away as the assistant coach to Marcus Freeman. But a lot of people within the organization and a lot of fans wanted him to be the next defensive coordinator for Notre Dame. They wanted they wanted Notre Dame to promote Mike Mickens to be the next defensive coordinator, but now he is leaving Notre Dame to join the Ravens. This is a huge hire. As I've said multiple times, Jesse Minter is building the Avengers out here. This is an incredible coaching staff that's being built. You had Mike Mickens, who is a very well-respected DB coach from college football, who coached up some of the best DBs that are currently in the NFL. So he's a very well-respected, very highly touted DB coach is coming to the Ravens to help coach up guys like Nate Wiggins, to keep coaching up guys like Kyle Hamilton, the safeties, all these guys like that. So you're bringing in Mike Mickens, who's very well respected. You're bringing in Dwayne Ledford, who's very well respected and who led an elite offensive line unit in Atlanta, and also helped lead an elite run game unit in Atlanta as well. And then also you're bringing in Declan Doyle, one of the young up-and-coming offensive minds who I wouldn't be surprised if he's gonna be a head coach somewhere within the next few years. I think the thing that's stopping him from being a head coach is the fact that he's 29, but I can definitely see Declan Doyle being one of these young offensive coordinators who rise up the ranks in the next few years and will end up getting a head coaching job somewhere within the next few years, depending on how it goes with Baltimore. But when you talk about Baltimore, when you talk about that offense, you're going to have Declan Doyle coaching up Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry and Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman, if he's even on the team. There's a whole drama situation with that, which we can go over if it actually ends up getting serious or whatever. But this Ravens offense is already very well equipped to succeed, and you're bringing in Declan Doyle, one of the young up-and-coming offensive minds. Again, he was very well respected within the Bears organization. He ended up getting a promotion when he was under Sean Payton, going to the Bears to be under Ben Johnson. So the past 2 years, he's gained knowledge and been under some of the best and most, biggest offensive minds in football right now. Like, obviously, Sean Payton's very well respected, and then you see what Ben Johnson's been doing. You saw what Ben Johnson did in Detroit, how good he was. He ended up getting a job because of how good he was to Chicago. He was under him in Chicago, and Declan Doyle is now the offensive coordinator of the Ravens. So just so many very big moves that are, like, we're hiring people that have track records and have resumes that are elite. And obviously when you're going out and you're hiring side coaches and stuff like that, you want those type of things. You want to hire coaches who have good resumes and have a good track record, because it just can end up hopefully leading to success in that area. But again, incredible stuff going on with the Ravens. Jesse Minter is cooking. You get Jesse Minter, you get Mike Mickens, you get Dwayne Ledford, and you get Declan Doyle to start off your offseason in terms of the new era of head coaches. Obviously, I talked about this a little bit earlier, but Todd Monken left. Ended up getting fired by Baltimore, but he ended up being he is now the new head coach for the Cleveland Browns, so we're going to be meeting him twice a year this year. So shout out to Todd, congrats to him. But I just wanted to say real quick, though, if you go back to 2023 and you think of that coaching staff in 2023, you had John Harbaugh as the head coach, you had Mike McDonald as the defensive coordinator who led that Triple Crown defense that was incredible back then, and then you also had Todd Monken as the offensive coordinator under that incredible offense that obviously Lamar Jackson won MVP with back in 2023. That was the year that the Ravens made the AFC Championship hosted the AFC Championship in Baltimore, a game that I was at, and a game where they unfortunately lost. It was one of the worst losses in Ravens history by far when you just look at the little things and how well the defense played and just how bad the offense played and stuff like that. It was just, it was horrible, you know. And when you look at that coaching staff, those main three catalysts of coaching, all three of them are now head coaches elsewhere. John Harbaugh is with the New York Giants. You obviously have Mike McDonald with the Seattle Seahawks, who's, again, playing for a Super Bowl next week. And then you have Todd Monken now in the Cleveland Browns, which just shows how good that 2023 team was. And it's even more heartbreaking knowing that we couldn't even make the Super Bowl that year. We were so close. But still, this is a new era. This is a new era for Jesse Minter, bringing in these new coaches, bringing in Mike Mickens, bringing in Dwayne Ledford, bringing in Declan Doyle, and then obviously the Ravens hiring Jesse Minter initially to the staff. The press conference went great. He said a lot of really great things. He kind of reiterized and kind of reassured everyone that Lamar Jackson is that guy, that this offense will be built around him and having him succeed. Also really talking about the run game, which makes a lot of sense because you have Dwayne Ledford, who specializes kind of in the run game. And then you also have Declan Doyle, who really specializes in the run game as well, with how good guys like DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai was last year with the Chicago Bears. So, again, very good hires all across the board. It has been an incredible start to this offseason for the Ravens, and I am so excited for this upcoming year. I haven't really felt this optimistic and this excited going into an offseason in a long time, because these head coaching hires, in my opinion, are all home runs. They're all slam dunks. They are all incredible hires by the Ravens. And I'm just so happy that things are working out the way that they are. And maybe the Tyler Luke missed kick really did put this team in the right position and really did it was a wake-up call for EDC. It was a wake-up call for Steve Bisciotti to make the moves that they needed to make. And now the Jesse Minter era, in terms of the coaching hires that we've been getting, we are building like an Avengers coaching staff right now. And obviously we're not done hiring new coaches because currently John Harbaugh and now Todd Monken are like rinsing the Ravens coaching staff clean and hiring and bringing a bunch of people from Baltimore with them to their new teams, which is fine. But it's just funny that there's two different coaches that are like tag teaming the Ravens and like trying to just rinse us clean of all of our coaches. But again, we're bringing back a lot of new coaches. We've also blocked a couple of coaches as well from leaving. So we're keeping a lot of coaches as well, but we're also bringing in a lot of really big, impactful coaches as well. And it's just a great start for the Ravens. And the last thing that I want to go over, and this very well might be the most important thing that we talk about today. Not the most important thing. I think the Declan Doyle hiring was the most important. But Nnamdi Madubuike, someone that we all love, Ravens fans love to death. He played the first 2 games of the season before he eventually had to be put on IR for the rest of the year because he was dealing with a neck issue and he was dealing with a neck injury. And again, neck injuries, back injuries are really scary, and you kind of have to take those extremely seriously. So there was a lot of rumors and reports, and just from what we heard from John Harbaugh and just what we heard from the team in general, every time it was asked about Madubuike, if he's going to be okay, if he's going to come back, eventually they put him on season-ending IR, and it sucked because those first 2 games of the year he was playing incredible, and we understand that Madubuike is one of the best D tackles in football, and he's also young. But Nnamdi Madubuike posted on Twitter a couple of hours ago and put good news with the prayer emoji. And this is obviously very good because a lot of people, including myself, are optimistic now. Him saying good news is obviously hopefully referring to him being able to play football again. And there was a lot of people, and it was kind of assumed in a way that he was going to have to be forced to medically retire. And like he was going to be forced to retire early because of a medical issue, because of that neck injury. But now he's on here on X and saying good news. So this is very good. Obviously, this is a great day for the Ravens. You get Declan Doyle as your offensive coordinator, and you also have Nnamdi Madubuike tweeting out good news. Like, if we can get Madubuike back on this squad with Jesse Minter now as the as really like the defensive play caller and the head coach, you have a defensive-minded head coach in Jesse Minter. You're potentially having Madubuike come back to this team that is very much struggling up front and very much struggling with the trenches, but especially on the defensive end. Like, our edge rushing and our defensive tackle play this year was awful. We were getting no pressure on quarterbacks, and a big reason because of that is we had no Madubuike, who was like the centerpiece of that. And if he can come back next year, which obviously him saying good news is a great sign, but if Madubuike can come back next year under Jesse Minter, like, it's a match made in heaven. It's incredible. Like, so many things are going well for the Ravens right now. The Madubuike news right here, which we don't know the news exactly, but he said good news, so obviously we're going to hope that he's going to be okay, and hopefully he can play next year, which would be crazy. But Madubuike, we got the Madubuike thing. We've got Declan Doyle being hired as the offensive coordinator for the Ravens. All this good stuff is happening today. A great, great day for the Baltimore Ravens, and really just like a great week for the Ravens. You have all three of these amazing hires. You going out and get Jesse Minter. It's incredible. You have Madubuike potentially coming back. It's great. This is an amazing start to the Ravens offseason, and free agency hasn't even started yet. And obviously we have the draft to look forward to. Ravens have pick 14. I have a couple of guys in mind, and as the offseason goes along, I'm definitely going to be kind of giving my input and my opinion on who I think we should draft and who we should target. But that's going to be for, later on down the road as we get closer to draft season. But again, some big news coming out of Baltimore. But thank you guys so much for tuning into and listening to this episode of Birds of a Feather. If you like this podcast and if you like this episode, make sure to click the link in the bio to check out the Twitter and the Instagram. Make sure to follow the Twitter and the Instagram. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube. Make sure to follow up on Spotify. Make sure to do all of this stuff. Again, I appreciate all the support. I love you guys so much. Again, this is the first time in this podcast history that we're in the offseason of both the Ravens and the Orioles at the same time. The Orioles have done literally nothing at all since the Shane Boz trade. So we're kind of sitting around waiting for us to maybe get like a Framber Valdez or a Zach Gallen or whoever it is. We're kind of waiting on that, and obviously we'll go over it once they actually do something. But Ravens have kind of taken the cake recently. Obviously, a lot of news coming out of the Ravens with all these coaching hires, and it's great. A lot of great things going on. Again, I appreciate you guys so much. I'll see you guys in the next one. You have a great y'all's day. Go O's, go Ravens, and I'll see y'all later. Peace out.